Hi everyone, I'm Eric from the book blog Lonesome Reader, and I'm going to talk today about what I read in the second half of November. But first, I want to talk about being an official shadow judge on the Sunday Times Peter Fraser and Dunlop Young Writer of the Year award. This is an award given annually to a writer under the age of 35 who shows great promise. And this award has been won in the past by great writers like Sarah Waters and Zadie Smith. And last year it was won by the fabulous Sarah Howe for her poetry collection Loop of Jade, which I absolutely loved. So this year, together with other book bloggers, Naomi from The Rights of Women, Kim from Reading Matters, Simon from Savage Reads, and Charlie from The Wormhole, we were all invited to form a official shadow panel to read and discuss the books together, come up with our own winner, a sort of like fan favorite. And we had to do this from this shortlist of 4 books. Now, this is an incredibly difficult decision that we had to make because not only are these 4 books, all of outstanding quality, but they're all really different from each other. There's Benjamin Wood's lawn novel, Andrew Macmillan's book of poetry, Physical, which I always like to have on top because it has the nice bum on the cover. And there's Jesse Greengrass's book of short stories, and Max Porter's book, Grief is the Thing with Feathers, which is a strange hybrid. It's sort of just its own thing. It's kind of poetry and literary criticism and a novella and lots of different things rolled into one. Now, coincidentally, I had read all of these books before the shortlist was announced. I read 3 of them last year, actually, and then I read Jessie Greengrass's book of short stories a few months ago before I interviewed her at a special Waterstones event. So all of us book bloggers got together last week to duke it out between these 4 books, and we had a nice long discussion over cups of tea, and we munched on a cake that I baked. I made a lemon curd layer cake with toasted marshmallow frosting, sort of for Naomi's birthday, and also to, help us think about all these books, because obviously cake helps us think a lot better. So we fought it out, had a really interesting discussion, and we decided that the winner should be Jessie Greengrass for her book of short stories with the incredibly long title, An Account of the Decline of the Great Auk According to One Who Saw It. It's always really difficult to show her book because it's all white, and so it sort of bleaches out and disappears, but it has a really beautiful cover. And it's a fantastic book, and she is such a interesting, creative, really thoughtful writer who we all really expect great things from. So it was wonderful to come to that decision. But of course, this is the unofficial just shadow judge choice. I'll be discovering who the real winner is at a special ceremony for the award this week that I'll be going to, and hopefully be having lots more bookish chatter and a few glasses of champagne, so it should be a lot of fun. But I really highly recommend all 4 of these great books. However, I also read 4 books in the second half of November. The first is Guapa by Salim Haddad, and this is published by Europa Editions. This is a proof copy, so this is what the actual edition looks like. And I truly think that this is a new landmark in gay fiction. It's the story of Rasa, who lives in an unnamed Middle Eastern city which is experiencing a high level of political turbulence. He lives with his grandmother, and he is horrified one day when she discovers him in bed with another man. So he contemplates his precarious position as a gay man in a place where his gay friends are regularly jailed and beaten for engaging in homosexual acts. Also, he recalls his time living in America as a student, where he developed a new level of self-consciousness, both in his national and sexual identity. It's truly an inspiring novel that is also an immense pleasure to read. Next, I read this anthology called Looking at the Stars. So, rates of homelessness are rising in Dublin, and poet Kerry O'Brien decided to do something about it by editing this anthology, and the profits for it go wholly to the Rough Sleeper team at the Dublin Simon community, which is one of the leading homeless charities in Ireland. The book is comprised of short stories and nonfiction and essays and poetry. Some of it is directly about homelessness, and other parts of it are more generally about feelings of isolation and economic inequality. The writing in here is by some of Ireland's leading writers like Anne Enright and Sarah Bannon and Belinda McCahan and Donald Ryan, Sinead Gleeson, Kevin Barry, Colin Barrett, Danielle McLaughlin, and many more. It is so enriching and a wonderful read. Next, I read the novel Inch Levels by Neil Hegarty. This is published by Head of Zeus, and this is another Irish book. It's a debut novel about a Northern Irish family through 3 generations. It's framed around the mystery of a missing girl, but it's really about the silences between the members of this family and how the troubles differently impacted them. Hegarty has a really graceful way with words that draws you into the psychological reality of his characters, and it really made me think about what's left unsaid within my own family. It's a really beautiful and absorbing novel. And finally, I read How to Survive a Plague by David France, and this is published by Picador. And as you can see, this is a mammoth book. It's a nonfiction book which charts the AIDS crisis from an inside perspective. David France moved to New York City in the end of the 70s when AIDS first appeared in the community there, so had a real first-hand experience of it, both as a member of the gay community there and also working as a reporter who was writing articles about developments as they were occurring. It's truly terrifying and shocking the levels of blatant, institutionalized homophobia within the government and the medical establishment, who did so little to stop the rapid deaths of thousands upon thousands of people afflicted with AIDS. This is a great testimony to the few people who stood up and demanded action. It also sets a benchmark for how we should all be active and engaged citizens, particularly in this world largely ruled by conservative governments that we live in today. So that's what I've been reading. If you want to know my full thoughts about these books, click Show More and I'll put links to my full reviews of all of these books. And let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books, and if so, what you think of them. If you haven't read them, which ones of them have perked your interests. And also let me know what you've been reading generally. So thanks for watching. If you want to know more of my thoughts about books, please subscribe to my channel, and happy reading, everyone.